Discover the truth. Discover the truth. Better know who you are. Discover the truth. Cause the truth don't change. No, the truth don't change. It remains the same. Better know who you are. Discover the truth.
What's all this talk about being black and Indian? I'm half this, half that, you must be kidding. Original, we the first to do it. And all these other nations are just our children. Even the pale skin was made in our image. Read the book of Ruth and check out your lineage. It's the melanin that gives us a dark complexion. That's a gene, no color, color separation. The Willie Lynch let it work to perfection. 2000 something and y'all still guessing.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for tuning in to the Think Tank Show. I'm your host, Katrina Muhammad. I want to thank my co-host, Sutton Bay, for giving me another opportunity to host the show today. I want to thank WHPR, Brother R.J. Watkins, Brother Henry Tyler, and all of the WHPR staff for doing a phenomenal job with this television show and all the shows on this station. If you are watching this station, you've tuned in to a very excellent show today, because what we're going to talk about, New Year's resolutions, and we're going to talk about why and what we're thankful for. It wasn't just myself. I'm sure it was other people sitting around the table with family members. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you probably sat down and spent time with family members just talking about what you're thankful for and being thankful for them, being thankful for the opportunity that you woke up that morning and that you were able to sit with your family and spend some time with them. I mean, if there's nothing to be thankful for, there's that to be thankful for, right? But as we progress and we get ready to move into 2018, because this year is coming to a close very quickly. I mean, it's already Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is gone. It's here. It's gone. And now November is gone. It's about to be December, and we already know what happens in December. It just seems like that month starts and then you blink and it's over. And the next thing you know, it's the new year, right? So people say every year what they want to do in terms of New Year resolutions. But I have some statistics for you that I want to share with you. And why am I sharing this now instead of in January? Because I believe that if we just start earlier with what it is we're saying we want to do in the upcoming year, we will increase our chances of completing those things, right? So it's kind of like the early bird gets the worm. It's kind of that concept. Why wait? Why wait until it's New Year's Day and then you're saying, okay, now it's 2018, January the 1st, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. No, let's start now. Start today. The 2017, you have one more month, basically, and a week, a month and a week of 2017 before this year is gone. So why not start now in implementing those goals of what it is you want to accomplish come 2018 and the coming years after that? So there's a little statistic here that said, and I looked this up, because you know I love statistics and things like that, that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. And then that intrigued me. I wanted to know, well, what are the New Year resolutions that people are saying that they want to accomplish? Like, what are those things? And so I looked it up, and some of the things that people have said, the number one thing, I'm pretty sure you could probably guess it. Lose weight, right? Lose weight. Healthier eating by 21.4%. That is tremendous, right? So everybody wants to do that. The number two was life and self-improvements, and that's kind of vague, maybe real general, but 12.3% of the people in the population said that that was their number two New Year resolution. Number three was better financial decisions. I like the way that that is worded, better financial decisions. So it doesn't necessarily say, save XYZ amount of dollars or make more investments in IRAs or mutual funds. Just make better financial decisions. I think that that's a good one. I'm surprised that it's at number 3, though, seeing that everybody talks about their financial portfolio and wanting to make more money. That was only at 8.5%. The number 4 item of New Year's resolution is quit smoking. So it doesn't necessarily say cigarettes. I mean, we can assume that's what they're talking about. But in this day and age, I guess we should say all things. Just quit smoking it, whatever that is. Cigarettes, marijuana. Hopefully it's not some of the other stuff, but if it is, stop smoking all of that, right? There was about 7.1% of the people in the population that said that was their number 4. Number 5, do more exciting things. So that may be travel, do some things like that. I know I'm planning to go on my first cruise. Believe it or not, I've done a lot of traveling throughout my life, but I've never taken a cruise, and I don't even really know why. I just have never done that. So I decided I'm going to do that. And I ended up placing a deposit and all of that, and it'll be next year in I think it's in May or something like that of 2018. But that was a decision that I made now in 2017 so that I can make that happen in 2018. So do something exciting, do something new, right? Something you've never done before. And then number 6 was spend more time with family, right, and close friends. And if you work a lot, like myself, and you tend to be a person, they say, a Jamaican with a bunch of jobs, which I'm still not even really sure why that phrase exists, because I know so many people that have 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They have a business on the side, maybe 2 or 3 businesses on the side. That I just know a lot of people who work a lot. So the challenge for people who work like that is spending time. Where do you find the time to spend with family and close friends? Well, that should be one of your New Year resolutions, to make sure that you make that happen this year, before the close of the year in 2017, but certainly more of it in 2018. There was about 6.2% of people who said that one. Spending more time with family and close friends. Number 7 was work out more often. So, I mean, I guess you could put that with the lose weight, which was interesting because that was number 1. But the working out, the exercise was number 7. So I guess that falls in line with a lot of people who dieting, maybe even fasting. They're willing to do that, changing their diet. They're willing to do all of that before they go to the gym. And I'm not leaving myself out. I did have a gym membership, and then I ended up letting it go, letting it lapse. And so that's on my list, too, that I plan to renew my membership and start working out more often. Because you can't just diet without the exercise. If you really want to be healthy, you have to exercise, too. So there were about 5.5% of people who said work out more often is their number 7. Learn something new on my own. That's interesting, especially the way that that's worded. Not just learn something new, but learn something new on my own. That is very interesting, and I think that that's a good one. It's kind of for those do-it-yourself people. I'm a little bit like that. Not totally, but I do like the challenge of picking up a book or picking up a new recipe and just going for it and doing it on my own, experimenting in the kitchen with new dishes, things like that. So that could be something that intrigues you or something you want to do. So here's another one that I think really should have been at number 1. Do more good deeds for others. Do more good deeds for others. There were about 5.2% of the people who said that one. Do more good deeds for others. Obviously, that's a good thing. That's charity. And as a Muslim woman, charity is one of the pillars of faith for us. Do more good things for others. That's something that we should all be striving to do all the time, right? And this is for my Christian family. You know what I'm talking about. Find the love of my life. Now that was 4.3% of the people mentioned that, and it's listed at number 10. Now that's very interesting to me because as a Muslim, we're taught that the other half of our faith is marriage. that in order for you to become a full adult in terms of an adult woman, a mature adult man, you need to find a mate. You need to find a partner in life, because what that requires you to do when you become a wife or you become a husband, it requires you to give of yourself. It requires you to mature. It requires you to let some old things and old habits go and disappear, because now you have to put on the new man, put on the new woman, because you're a husband now. You're a wife now. So there are some things that are required of you. There are people depending on you in that role, right? And so you end up becoming a better person. You end up becoming a more mature person. So this is why we say that the other half of our faith is marriage, and you don't really become that better person without having gone through the union of you and another person working to become one with Allah and helping each other do that. So this is interesting that find the love of my life is listed as number 10. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe some people don't necessarily believe in the love of their life, that type of thing, or maybe they already found theirs. You never know. The next one listed was find a better job. Now, I think that that's good, because whether you're an entrepreneur or you have a job and you have a business on the side, you definitely want to be happy wherever you are. So find a better job was listed, 4.1% of the people listed find a better job as one of their resolutions. And I can identify with that. I mean, I'm happy where I am. I did just find a better job for myself, and I am very happy with the decision that I made to do that. But sometimes we have to be pushed into that decision, because you can be in a situation at a place of employment where you're very complacent, you're comfortable. You're not really happy there, but you're comfortable, right? And they pay you a decent amount. You know, you kind of know your job, and you just have decided I'll stay there. But you're not really happy at what you're doing. So it's important to be happy in life with what you're doing for a living. So if this resonates with you and what I'm saying right now, that you're sort of kind of happy where you are, maybe you need to look into this in terms of finding a better place to work, a better job, as one of your resolutions for 2018. And if any of these struck a chord with you, then obviously you need to get started with those right away. Do not wait until January to start your New Year resolution. Start now, because what we're talking about is bettering your life. And so I'll just read a couple of things to you, because I do have a guest today, and I want the guest to get an opportunity to speak on this subject. But I want to read to you out of one of my favorite books, which is the Self-Improvement Guide, The Basis for Community Development, Study Guides 1 through 9. And I'm going to just read a little bit before I bring my guest on, and we'll take a quick break, and then I'll bring my guest on. When Allah God asks us to become his servants, he asks us to give him the best part of ourselves. What does Allah God ask of us? Yes, what does he ask? Excuse me. What does Allah God ask us for? I'm seeing words that aren't there. Excuse me. He asks us for our will. What does he ask us? What does he ask us for? He asks us for the power of our being. Since he gave it, power of our being, to you, and you say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, then if Allah God has given you a bit of his own power, which is his will, then he asks you, will you give it back and surrender? What should our word to Almighty God be? Of course, we should say, yes, I submit my will to do your will, not by force, but willingly. And this is the meaning of the Arabic word Muslim. To be a Muslim is not some strange thing. To be a Muslim doesn't mean being radical or being an extremist or being a parrot. Or I should also add being racist, because it doesn't say that in here, but I need to say that. To be a Muslim means that you recognize that your will that has been given to you by God as his gift to you. and he is requiring of us obedience to his will, submitting our will to his. And when we do that, we are called Muslim. So I wanted to just kind of set the tone because we say we're a lot of things. We say we're Muslim, we say we're Christian, but when we really examine our actions, right, and our will towards those actions. Now, this all is in the conversation of what will 2018 be like for you and for myself, right? Well, what do you will to happen? What is in your consciousness, in your mind, in terms of what you see for yourself with the coming new year and what you see for yourself with the close of this year? Maybe there were some things that you said you were going to do that's on your list and you still haven't quite gotten to it yet, but you still have about a month, a month and a week of time left in this year of 2017 to exhibit your will, right? To do those things, to move forward and bringing something good in your life, in your family's life, and in your neighbor's life, in your community. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I want you to keep it locked in to this station. Don't go anywhere. I want you to call in because we definitely want to take your questions and just have a conversation with you today about the new year, about your goals, about achieving your goals, and giving you some advice on how to do so. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching the Think Tank. Stay tuned.
I'm phased up, illuminated. I see you watching, I know you hate it. We done woke up, re-educated off of Jubilees. Demonstrate a new nation, come of age. A long way high from them slavery days. Let my people in before we kick the door. Had them up tees coming with the swords. We born more, reduce the black, lace my boots up, cause I ain't having that. Call me a citizen, no, I'm a national. King Kendrick Seal, they calling me a radical. Cause I'm outside the box and I ain't looking in. I be my riff knocked out, gray shadowed in. Europeanized mindset hammered in. The great fall of the Moor man, I was on my square, on my five. Consciousness on overdrive, mind state on high. Praise Allah that I'm alive. Awake from the grave in the sea full of lies. I come to claim what's mine, so step back. It's that time, it's the return of the Moors. Return of the Moors. Return of the Moors. It's the return of the Moors. Return of the Moors. Return of the Moors.
I rise above the murky thesis of the flesh. I give praises to Allah, cause every day I'm blessed. I'm being tested daily, living amongst the shady. At night I gotta pray, if not the streets will drive me crazy. I'm keeping things in a bounds of moderation. Being locked up taught me to practice patience. Every year I'm trying to see another more celebration. I once was in the dark, but now I like a basement. I thank Parker Bay for all the faithful demonstrations. We know death is a friend, so ain't no escaping. Islam means peace. I'm surviving in these streets. Too many years in prison, so now I had to seek. I got a conflicting soul, but now my soul is meek. I got the gift, honest to Noble Drew Ali. He opened my eyes, so now I plainly see what the Moor Sign Temple strictly did for
on
me.
My square, on my five, consciousness on overdrive, mind state on high. Praise Allah that I'm alive. Awake from the grave in the sea full of lies. I come to claim what's mine, so step back. It's that time, it's the return.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Think Tank Show. My name is Sister Katrina Muhammad, your host today, and I have a wonderful, wonderful guest with me. This person has been a friend of mine for a while. I admire her. I love her. I have been asking her to be on the show for a long time, but she doesn't even live in the city of Detroit anymore. She's a native Detroiter, but she lives in Washington, D.C. She has a wonderful, impressive resume, I must tell you. I won't go all into it, but it's super deep. She's super talented. She's retired now, but she still has businesses and she stays busy. I mean, I don't even know. She's a dynamite sister, a dynamite woman. You know, I look up to her and I'm like, I want to be her when I grow up. Her name is Sister Karai Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, ma'am. And one of the first things, we're talking about New Year resolutions, and I did brief her during the break, but one of the first things I want to ask you, because I think it's so amazing that you did this, is Sister Karai recently changed her name. She changed her last name to Muhammad. Can you explain to the audience why you decided to do that and what it took to do that? I mean, that's a serious thing. And when we say change, I know some people, they say they change their name and then they just announce to people, start calling me this now, right? But legally, on all their documents, is still their old name, or as we refer to it in the Nation of Islam, is their slave name. They still have it on all their paperwork. But Sister took it to the next level and said, no, I'm changing my name legally on everything.
Right,
so can you
right.
explain why you did that and what's all involved?
Sure, not a problem at all. So part of the reason why I wanted to change my name is because, well, first and foremost, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave all of the believers who were at Savior's Day in, I want to say, 1999,
Okay.
or 2001. I can't remember the exact year, but anyhow, at one particular Savior's Day, he gave all the people who were there, members of the nation, the last name Muhammad, and that was really a very big deal.
Right.
And then to top it off, a few years after that, he expanded it and said, and gave it out to everyone who was then at that following Savior's Day.
Right, right.
And my parents were there as well. They
Wow.
were believers in the first. They actually joined the Nation of Islam in the late 50s.
Now, there are a lot of people watching this show, like your parents, who are pioneers, who joined the nation, part of that first generation. I hear from them. So that is really important that you said that, and that your parents were a part of that group. I mean, that
Right.
group went through a lot in order for us to have the Nation of Islam today.
Yes,
So
and
we're
they really
thankful to
did.
them.
I mean,
Yes.
my parents, they were part of that group who literally the FBI would come
Right.
and knock on their door.
Yes, I
They've
heard
had
all
that
about it.
experience.
Yeah.
So
Having believers in their home, because the mosque wasn't established yet, so they
Exactly.
held all of
Study
the
groups,
meetings,
yeah.
study groups, everything right in their home.
exactly.
That's
So,
amazing.
that was my parents, but it was in Columbus, Ohio.
All praises due to
where they
Allah.
had that. But anyhow, my parents were there at Savior's Day, and for whatever reason, they didn't decide to legally change their last name to Muhammad. But we had talked about it, and I told them that I wanted to go ahead and change mine. And they said, all right. We're okay. We're happy that you want to do that. So I was glad to get their blessing to do
That's
that. But actually, at the time, I was married,
Okay.
and it was a big deal to my husband that I had his last name.
Right.
So it wasn't until after I got a divorce and I went back to my parents and said, okay, I no longer have my married last name. I went back to my maiden name, which was Mans, but I'm going to actually change it to Muhammad. Are you still comfortable with that? And they were like,
So
please.
this had been a long goal. This had been something you had been wanting to do for a long time.
Yes, definitely.
For a number of years. Could we say, has it been over, it was over 10 years?
Oh, definitely. It was
Okay.
over 10 years.
Wow.
So, but in the long run, you know, first and foremost, for Black Americans, we were not given last names.
Right.
We were just called by whatever first name they wanted to give us when we were slaves.
And that is really important that you said that. I just had a conversation with someone at my job. It's still amazing to me how many black people don't really understand where their last name came from. They don't really, they haven't made that connection that the last name Smith, Jones, my maiden name was Red, McConaughey, Gillikin, all of these names. River, Thompson, I don't even know. You can go on and
Fox.
on. Yeah, Fox, all these names. These are not African names. These were not names that we kept from, our ancestors. These were the last names of slaveholders.
Exactly.
Many black people still have not made that connection of understanding that that's where their last name came from. And I don't know
Exactly.
why. It's really fascinating to me. It's kind of like, okay, where do you think that name came from? Like, what is going on? Now, some people have said to me, after the emancipation, there were many black people who decided to adopt a last name and took
Right.
a last name, like
So
the
there
last
were
name
many.
Freeman, right?
Or there was ones who took the last name Lincoln after Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
Or George Washington, because they thought, well, since he was the first president of our country, they all thought that those were good things.
But it gets murky because George Washington had slaves.
Right, it
And
really
those
does.
slaves did keep the last name Washington.
Right.
And then I was told when I think I read some books on this that many slaves, ex-slaves, kept those names at that time because they were trying to reconnect with family members.
Exactly.
Because that was kind of the only way to find your significant other that was taken from that plantation to somewhere else. So you just kept that name in hopes that, someone will look for the Washingtons knowing that you came from that plantation or the
Right.
Jones or whatever, so you could find your husband, your wife, your children, your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters, because that's how it was. It wasn't, how were they going to find each other?
Right. And I really would
So
say.
I respect that reason. You
Right.
know what I mean? I do understand that.
And
But-
something that's interesting is that actually there are a number of families that are connecting both the white and the black sides of their families these
Like the
days.
Jeffersons?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
having-
like Thomas Jefferson. I'm sure you all have seen this in the news. Sally Hemings, right?
Exactly.
He had a very long public love affair with, that he had children with, many, many children with. Well, they recently had a family reunion. Over the past several years, they've done this actually and made that reunion very public. They've taken pictures, and so you have the black side of the Hemings, the children that came through that lineage, and then you have the other children who came from the wife. I think his wife was Mary. I'm not sure, Jefferson. And so they're all kind of connected and saying, okay, well, we're cousins, right? Or we're half brothers and sisters, and we're all family. So yes, I have seen this trend. It's quite interesting.
Right, right. But you know what? It's better, we are a people who, the whole reason behind us even calling ourselves African American as opposed to from a particular country of Africa is because we don't know what country, but only that we did come from that continent.
Yeah, those records were lost. Those
Exactly.
records were never even kept in some cases.
Exactly,
So-
they were not. So, the bottom line is we know that we are not Joneses or Franklins or Rivers or any of those other names.
So had you, before you, or while you were in the process of deciding, okay, I'm going to change my name, did you do that? Did you go through the archives and try to find the ancestors with your maiden name to see how far back you can go on your family tree? Did you do all of that?
Well, unfortunately, I did not.
Okay.
And the other thing with that is that I can only go back as far as my grandparents on
Okay.
both sides of my family. But
Which is a common experience for many black families, because we
Yes.
just don't have those records in many instances, or our families were not as close. and
Right.
maybe didn't have family reunions and things like that. And so with most black families, we can only go a couple of generations. That's it.
Right. And to make it so funny, my actual last name is Mann, Mann.
Okay.
But my grandmother, she actually added a S to the end of our family's
So
name.
she changed the name.
Right. She changed
She
it
was like,
to
I'm
Mann.
changing this.
Right, because they lived in the same apartment building
Okay.
with one of my grandfather's brothers, and
Okay.
the mail kept getting mixed
Oh,
up.
okay.
So she
that was
just-
the I was going to
right.
ask you what was the reason.
So she just added a S.
She was like, okay, I can solve this problem
Right.
easily.
But you know, these days we can't change our names like
That
that
is so
easily.
interesting.
Right? So actually, when I decided to change my name, some people have said, you know, why pay to legally change your name?
Yes, I've
when-
heard that debate too.
But you know what? I am a landowner.
Right.
I own my own property, and when I don't have any children, but when I no longer exist,
and we'll say yet.
well, I'm past childbearing age.
But you could still be a mom through,
that's true.
through adoption
That's
and foster
true.
care.
Oh, that's true.
Because you all know I support that.
But one thing I will say though is that I want the deed to say Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am.
That's important to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yes, I went about going to the courthouse and actually filling out the paperwork and paying the $150 for the filing fee. And then I think it was another $30 to $50 to pay a legal paper to actually run an ad and announce that it's my intention to change my name.
Now that's interesting. Is that something that is specific to Washington D.C. that you had
No,
to do
no, no.
that? Or is that
Actually,
kinda,
you'll do that. You'll find that no matter
here
where.
in
I think here in
Detroit, someone
Detroit,
would
you
have
have
to run
do
an
that.
ad? Really?
Yeah, I don't have to place the ad. It automatically will go into
Interesting.
the court will send the information over to the newspaper. You
Oh.
just decide which legal newspaper you want to use.
Okay.
And they'll just send the information over.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but you have to do that so that
this added up to about $200 some odd
It
dollar
did.
investment
It
so
did.
far. Okay.
But the thing is, they just want to make sure you're not just changing your name so that you're trying to duck out of debt.
oh,
you know?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
So people
So in
have
other words,
done
if I
that.
have a lot of bills and I don't want somebody to find me, there are people who just change their name.
There you go.
What?
There you go. Hello. Yes, it has
I'm
happened.
learning some things
Yes,
here. What?
definitely.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's why they go through that whole process. They take
Right.
people through that process.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then, you know, when you go and check your, go back and check your credit history, then they can
Right.
show you all names that you have gone under.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So now included in mine is
Yeah.
now the name Muhammad. So they know that. So, and I'm so
All
excited
praises to
about that.
Allah.
So that
That
was
is so
very
great.
important to
So that
me.
was a I won't call it a New Year resolution, but that was a resolution. That was a goal.
Right.
that
Now, to tell you the truth,
wanted.
I'm not done with the process. I mean,
Okay.
because even though now my last name is legally Muhammad,
Yes.
for women especially, but I guess in this case, anybody would have to go through. I have to change it with all my credit cards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
I have to change it with like the health insurance and everything.
Oh,
and actually,
yes.
some stuff I wanted to hold off with, like the health insurance. It was like, okay, let's not get anybody confused. Let's
Okay.
just wait till the end of the year when I sign up for
enrollment.
new.
Yeah.
Right. When
Okay.
I sign up for new insurance, then
You can do
it'll
it then.
change. It'll be new for everybody.
Right.
And then you also have to make sure that your doctors still have the same information so that they know I'm not a new patient.
Right.
That I just changed the
Right.
last name so
Okay.
that their records
So you have
stay
to be
consistent.
You have to plan this. You
Right.
have to be very organized, and you also have to make sure you have some money because all these things, you know, if you go get a new license, you have to pay
Right.
for that.
Exactly.
I mean, a passport, new name, you
Yes.
got to pay for that.
Right.
So it's an investment as well.
Definitely.
But would you say it's worth it?
Oh, definitely. It's
Really?
worth it to me. And some
That's
people
good.
may ask the question, why would I want the last name Muhammad in a time like this when when Muslims are coming under attack.
Yes.
And I travel the world. I love to travel. I traveled throughout Europe on 3 different trips this year. And it's not a problem for me.
Right.
When they,
With the name change.
well, at that time the name wasn't changed, but I still don't view it as a negative.
Okay.
Because the world is waiting for us. And
Right.
actually, whenever I travel around the world, I am so warmly embraced by the people. And they say things like, we've been waiting for you. And they show me such a good time and
Right.
tell me all sorts of things and give me
Right.
great information, invite me to their home. And these are like complete strangers.
Right.
Now, I know some people would be afraid to just meet somebody in a foreign country and
Right.
go
Go to
off
their home
and all of
for
that.
dinner and stuff.
But you know when you're in a safe situation and when
Right.
you're not.
Right.
So
Not to
yeah.
mention she's a black belt.
No,
on top of
no,
that.
no.
No, not a black
Not a
belt.
black belt,
Not
just-
a black belt. But she knows some stuff.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Not a black belt.
Not a black belt, but she knows some stuff.
But you
So
know.
that's wonderful. So I would agree with you. I mean, my name changed when I got married, and actually, I guess I kind of changed it myself too because my ex-husband didn't have the name Muhammad. My name is hyphenated, so I decided to add the Muhammad, and they allowed me to do that.
Okay.
And I have experienced some negative being in the business world, but I would definitely say the positive far outweighs the negative that I have received based upon the last name Muhammad.
Right.
I would have to bear witness to that, right? But in all honesty, just out of fairness and putting it on the table, I have seen some, eyebrows go up or whatever, especially when maybe I'm dressed like this with a tam and people kind of don't know, and then I'll
Right.
say my name and then they'll go, oh, and then because instantly someone hears your name Muhammad and they're like, oh, okay, she's Muslim, right? And then they're thinking whatever thoughts they're thinking. But mostly I have experienced positive feedback, positive exchange when I've given my name or my business card to someone
Right.
as opposed to something negative. But we do live in that world where,
Right.
people make all kind of assumptions. But I do get mostly a lot of questions. Do
Now,
you get a
see,
lot of questions?
That's the beautiful part that I
Yes.
was going to say. The questions, then that brings about the understanding.
The understanding, yes.
So,
And the opportunity to even have the conversation.
right.
Right?
That brings about understanding. That gets to the point. I mean, I've been the type of person who always wanted to focus on what do we have in common
Right.
as opposed to what are our negatives. Because we have
Exactly.
more things in common than differences between us.
Exactly.
So the more we can talk about those things, the more understanding we can have of one another, or at least the respect that we can develop
Exactly.
for one another. And I appreciate that.
So
Yeah.
let me go to my question. This is at the end of the list, but I think it's appropriate to ask now because we just celebrated or just had Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Many of us don't celebrate the holiday, but we still have dinner with our family and sit with them and spend time with them. What would you say that you are most thankful for and grateful for in this moment in time? What would you say that is?
I am most grateful for my relationship with God.
Okay, explain.
I was raised Muslim as a child, and I've always felt like I've had a very special relationship with Allah, God. And that has always stuck with me, even in those times in my life when I was less than religious or less than being a good little Muslim girl.
In Christian world, we would call that backsliding. You was backsliding. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. There's been those occasions when my father would say, "Girl, is your ex dangling or what?"
Oh no!
But
no.
when
Not
I was,
Daddy.
yeah, and you never want to disappoint Daddy,
No.
so I had to clean things up.
Right.
But with all of that, though, I am most thankful for my relationship with God, and really as I've gotten older, going back to that and really remembering to lean on Him.
Mm.
And not just my understanding or this craziness in the world, because I think we all can admit the world is a bit crazy
Yeah,
out here.
it is. Very
So-
much so.
What are we going to do?
Right.
How are we going to be? I mean, I'm not somebody who's just going to run and put my head in the sand.
Right.
So,
And you can't control your neighbors.
Right.
But, I mean, you can control yourself.
Right.
And how you interact with people and what you represent every day. Right.
Exactly.
That becomes an example, hopefully, for other people.
right.
So, I mean, you have to lean on that. That's an excellent, excellent answer.
I have white neighbors. And you know what? They love me and
They
take
do.
care.
I have to bear witness. I've been to her home on many, many occasions, and her neighbors are like leaving her muffins and gifts and watching her home when she's out of town and giving her cards. And I mean, I'm just like, man, I've had neighbors, but I've never had neighbors show me this much love. What are you doing? What are you doing to get this much love from all of your neighbors? These are the white neighbors, black neighbors, Chinese neighbors, whatever neighbors. What is going on? And so, what would you say that is? I mean,
Well, you know what? It just comes down to being a good person. Now, I will admit, when I first moved in, I made sure the first thing I did was went and introduced myself to the neighbors, the 3 neighbors across the street from me,
right?
the 2 neighbors on the side of me, on either
Right.
side of me, and the 3 behind me.
Okay.
Because I want to know who's around me.
Right, exactly.
Who you got living up in your house.
Right.
I want you to know me too.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
And then I
And
guess
maybe that's what's lost. We don't introduce ourselves to our neighbors. We don't even really know each other.
right, and
Just
I make
speak
sure
when
I
we're
know
going
them.
to work high and by,
Oh,
you know.
mm-mm.
It's about it. And then that's it. So
No, I can't go out like that.
Right.
I got to know you. I want to talk to you. How
Right.
you doing?
Right.
What you about?
yeah. Right.
What type of work you do?
Right.
You know,
Your
actually,
children, who are your
Right, you
children?
have to
Who's coming
always
over
be
your house?
networking.
Yes.
And networking is not a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
It's about not only what maybe I can get from you, but definitely how can I help you?
Right. Right.
You know?
It's giving out too, not just taking in.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So now where I live, actually, that's the 4th time I've lived in the DMV. DMV is District, Maryland, Virginia area.
Okay.
And so I have
Which is a beautiful area. I
Right.
have to tell you, I've lived in several places throughout the country. I really did enjoy living in the DMV. I enjoyed living in that area. I enjoyed just that whole area from Baltimore, Virginia, Maryland. It is a lot of flavor. It's a lot of chocolate people. I mean, it's a lot of people just enjoying life and enjoying each other, a lot of culture. And I just had a lot of fun there. I really did. I mean, I ended up leaving because I moved there because I got married and then I got divorced, so that wasn't fun. Let's just be clear about that. But I really enjoyed living in that part of the country. It is very beautiful. But let me just be clear. Nothing is like Detroit.
no living in the D.
Nothing is like Detroit, and nothing is like home, which this is home for me. So
Well, it's definitely home for me because,
Right.
you know, I'm here several times a year,
Yes.
have to
Yes.
check in with the family, check in with the friends and everything.
Right.
So, yes, I am a Detroit girl. so
exactly.
I don't ever try to hide that. But, yeah, but going back to your other question, I am definitely most thankful for my relationship with God because it's helped settle me and keep me settled. Because, you know, we have somebody in the White House who says some crazy things, who would have your neck just snapping every other day.
Or taking
And-
an Excedrin, number 45. You all know who we're talking about. I don't even say his name on this show anymore.
Right.
I just refer to him as number 45.
Right. And it's a whole bunch of distraction. That's
Right.
all it is. A distraction against what we really need to be focused on.
Right.
So,
to get ourselves together in our community. together.
Exactly. So you know what work needs to get done. So
Exactly.
don't even let those political games and one-upmanship that they try
Right.
to play with one another keep you off your job.
So earlier, before we went to the break, I read a statistic. The statistic said that 80% of New Year resolutions fail by February. So why do you think that is? What do you think people need to be doing now even to prepare for 2018 and what they are saying they want to achieve and have come 2018? Because I think, people don't make resolutions. I think some thought goes into it, and people really genuinely want to lose weight, want to make more money, want to have, successful marriages and relationships. Some of the things that I read about the type of New Year resolutions that people are actually making, I think people really genuinely want to achieve those things. But 80% of them fail by February. Why is that? Why do you think that happens?
Okay, so first and foremost, I definitely am not an expert on that because I make my own resolutions too. But
you're like, just in case anyone's watching the show that knows me.
No, but straight up. But
and the resolutions, just so you know, losing weight, eating healthier was number one.
Right. And you know what?
Life self-improvement, better financial decisions, quit smoking. We can assume smoking anything, everything, whatever, right? Do more exciting things, spend more time with family and close friends, work out more often, learn something new on my own. I thought that was interesting the way that was stated. Do more good deeds for others, find the love of my life, and find a better job. Those were the top 11 things listed by people in this country when they make resolutions, with losing weight and eating healthier is number one.
But you know what? There's a difference between wanting to do all of those things and really being willing to do what it takes in order to bring those goals into fruition.
Sister.
So if you're really willing to do what it takes, what is that going to... So you want to lose weight.
Right.
First of all, how much weight do you want to use? And
at least 30 pounds for me.
Okay. And if you want to do that, then the first thing you have to do is stop and say, how long would it realistically take to lose 30 pounds?
Right.
So we're not trying to do any of those fad diets or, where you're going to not eat anything for the next month.
And then you end up in the hospital because you're dehydrated.
Right. So we don't want to do anything like that.
That did happen to me when I was trying to squeeze into my prom dress.
Right.
And I ended up in the hospital.
Right.
We ain't trying to do that. Situation.
No, we're not trying to do that.
I never want to do that again, but I have to be honest.
Let's help her out. Keep her from doing those things. No. And all of you out there, let's not do that.
No.
So really, you have to ask yourself the tough questions and really sit down and plan it out.
Yeah.
Am I willing to do what it takes in order to be successful? So, they say realistically, think about losing 2 to 2.5 pounds per week. It didn't come on fast. It's not going to go off fast.
Right.
So give yourself some time. And that first month, the only thing you're going to lose is water weight.
Right.
Water weight. So don't even trip about that. It's okay. You're not going to really see the real weight loss until 2 months have passed by. But prior to then, you will see a difference in how your body feels. Oh, wait a minute. This garment is feeling a little looser than the last time I had it on. And that will make you feel good.
So is it mind over matter? I mean, because that first one of losing weight, that's a serious one in our community.
Right.
I mean, we are dying of hypertension, diabetes, and it's all connected to the food because we are heavier than we should be. So that first one really is a very serious one. So
Okay,
is
Oprah
it
taught
mind
us.
over matter?
Oprah taught us, okay?
What'd she teach us?
No, how many times did Oprah go on diets? And
I just
Oprah got
remember her
plenty of money in order
Right.
to lose the weight, but she never wanted to just go and have it taken off
Do you remember
surgically.
that show though?
Yes.
When she wheeled that
Had on the black turtleneck.
Yeah, and she wheeled all
Yes,
that fat in there in terms of what was equivalent to what she was weighing at the time. Like, I will never ever forget that image.
Right. When she
was
said,
like,
that's how much fat
Oh
I
my
lost.
goodness. Yes.
Right. But you know
Wow.
what?
But
It-
even Oprah, I mean, up, down, up, down. I mean, in
Right.
terms of her weight. I mean,
Right.
we saw her struggle in her entire career on television.
Exactly. Exactly. And that should let us know that it's not easy,
No.
and you have to think about, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? And actually plan it out and take food with you so that you never find yourself out being hungry and not having any choices.
And then
you
but
can't
fast food or
Right.
processed food.
Right, because you're sitting there, you're at
Yeah.
work, and all of a sudden you.
Right.
So what you gonna do? You get up and you go to the vending machine.
Right. All of that stuff.
Right.
Whereas if you had brought a salad to work,
No, okay, and
You could
then
have
even if you
had
brought the
that.
salad, you still got to have a backup plan. You got to have a piece of fruit or something else that you like that's going to be better for you
Right.
than the alternative, going to that vending machine. And I
Right.
swear, and I love it these days when you can go and see exactly how much each item, I mean, calories.
oh, that they have to print that on the menu now.
Right.
Yeah, all the calories.
Right.
But how many people are actually really counting that? I mean, you're
Girl.
smart, and
No.
you're one of those sisters. You do your due diligence. But how many people really are looking at that menu and they're looking at that the calories, and they even understand how to count calories?
Okay, let's keep it real.
Even though they do have apps out there now.
Yeah, I, as you can tell, am not a skinny girl.
Okay.
So I still have my issues that I'm working on. Because, last night, it was my intention to
But that
make
doesn't
only
count.
one apple pie, and I
But you
somehow
can't
made two.
look. You
and-
can't. Last night doesn't count because
Oh.
technically that was Thanksgiving, even though we don't celebrate that. But you're with your family. Everybody's
Girl,
eating
come on,
bean pie.
Come on.
Everybody's putting ice cream on the bean pie.
Right.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
And you know what? Here you go. Truthfully,
What are you gonna do?
No, truthfully, that bean pie, you have to give it up. What? You know what they said? A minute on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. Let it go. All that sugar. Okay, look.
Oh, well, you have to repeat that.
A
A
minute on the lips, a lifetime on the hips.
Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Unless you are working out every day.
Which
Every
I'm
day.
not.
Every day.
Yeah.
Okay, see, these are kind of conversations that
Yeah,
we
we're
just
having
had.
a sister chat.
Right.
We're having a
That's
sister
all
chat
this
right
is.
now. This-
Okay, so come on, y'all. Call in and tell us what's going on with you. What are your
Right.
dreams for 2018 or for rest of this year? Just give us a call, 313-868-4336 and 313-868-0351. You see the numbers at the bottom of the screen there. Come on, give us a call.
We could
Give us a
possibly
call.
squeeze you in. We only have a few more minutes of the show. But let me move forward. Okay, so and I think this question is most important, and we might have to end it here. What are the most challenging things that ended up being a blessing for you? That's a deep question, right?
It really is. I have two answers.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with the real show enough answer.
Yeah, give me the real show enough answer. Now, this is the Karai that I love.
The show enough answer is the most challenging thing for me was to take care of my mother as she was dying.
Oh, I don't even know if I was ready for that. I don't even know if I was ready for that answer. But you know what? Because I remember the conversations we had. Yeah, that was heavy.
Yeah, and you know,
And audience, some of you might be doing that right now in the situation where you have an elderly parent that is ill and you have found yourself now having to take care of them. And it may not be a parent. It could be, just a family member, an aunt or someone. And
Or a friend.
Or a friend. And they're dying and you are their caretaker. I mean, there's a special place in God's heart for people like that, because that has got to be one of the hardest things in the world to do.
and
or a spouse, right? I mean, or a child even. I mean, can you imagine?
And just keeping it real. It was over a period of a week. I saw my mother go from being able to walk to the bathroom to having to take her walker to the bathroom, to needing help with the walker, to we need to get something on the side of the bed for her,
A bedpan.
or one of those side commodes, to we having to use a diaper on her,
Right.
and through that process having to not just be that child, but be that just straight up caretaker and be like, Mama, it's okay. I will clean you.
She became the baby.
Right.
Look at that cycle.
Right. And the only word
wow.
that I could use for that is it was a elegant process.
Right.
I mean, because I could genuinely feel how she took care of me.
Right.
How she had to
And even
bathe
more love.
me.
And look at that, how God just opened your heart and your breast even more for love for your mom and putting you in that situation and helping you understand what it was like for her to have to do
Right.
that with you day in, day out. That is
Right.
amazing. So how did it end up being a blessing?
It was a blessing because that experience was something that I would not wish on anyone. However, that brought me so close to my mother and gave me closure in her transition. My other siblings really weren't in a position to handle that. And actually, my father, who was there with her through her illness, he couldn't even really handle it. But I think of it as being something beautiful.
And it brought you all together.
It really did.
And what a blessing it was to have the opportunity to do that
Yeah.
for and with your mom. Some people don't get that. Some
Right.
people, it's just instantly, person's gone. They didn't get to say goodbye. They didn't get to say, I love you one more time.
Right.
But you were blessed, your family was blessed where you got that opportunity to
Right.
do that for your mom.
Right. And literally, she passed in my arms.
Wow.
And that is something that for me was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Wow. I hope to have her back. I hope you see and understand for yourself why I love this sister right here so, so much. And I've learned so much from her, and she's been a blessing in my life. I hope you've enjoyed this show today. Definitely. I love you. We love you. Please tune back in, and don't forget to pick up your book, The Self-Improvement, The Basis for Community Development Study Guide. Yes, that is the beautiful, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the cover. And please get your tickets for Savior's Day. It's going to be in Chicago this year. So make sure you go on NOI.org and get your ticket. Thank you so much to the WHPR family. Thank you. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching. We love you. Assalamu alaikum.